What's going on, guys? Alain Gonzalez here, and today I just want to talk about something that I think a lot of experts um, tend to overlook or ignore, right? Or overly simplify, and that is protein frequency. Excuse me, the amount of times that we consume protein throughout the day and its effects on us building muscle maximally. There's two ends of the spectrum. You got the guys that say you got to consume X amount of protein, every 2.5 hours, or you're gonna go catabolic and lose all your muscle. And then you got the guys that oversimplify it by saying it doesn't matter as long as you hit your protein for the day. All right. Now, out of the two, I think they both have fair points, but the truth is somewhere right in the middle. Okay. And this is especially true for those who are trying to find the best approach, the optimal approach, okay? Now let's look at a study, and I'm going to link these studies down below, all right? Where there was two groups, all right? One group, and they both consumed 100 grams of protein for the day, all right? One group, it was 3 meals, evenly distributed, so 33 and whatever grams of protein per meal. And then there was a second group who did lesser amounts in the beginning of the day and then finished the day off with a huge amount. So it was 11 grams, 16 grams, and then 64 grams. All right, both groups consumed 100 grams of protein. However, the first group, who was consuming more protein per sitting and evenly distributed it, showed higher rates of whole body protein synthesis, right? So that just goes to show, just in that one study, that it does matter to a degree, right? Now, we do have research already also showing that in order to maximize the rate of protein synthesis, we need about 30 to 40 grams of protein, okay? So that kind of makes sense when we look back at that study, right? You also want to consider that if you have double that, for example, you're not going to double the rate of protein synthesis. It's going to cap off at about that much. But even if you wanted to have more protein in a sitting, that's completely fine, because it's going to help you reach your protein for the day. However, you don't want to get anything less than that, because if you do, you're not going to maximize the rate of protein synthesis. All right. This also goes kind of hand in hand with a study that I talked about in a previous video, where they had the three groups. They had everybody eating 80 grams of protein. One was 10 grams per meal over 8 meals. The other group was 20 grams per meal over 4 meals. And the last group was 40 grams over 2 meals. And they showed the greatest rate of protein synthesis was in the group that ate 20 grams per meal for 4 meals. Now you might say, okay, well then that doesn't make sense, because we just said that it was 30 to 40 and so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is that even though that middle group probably didn't maximize protein synthesis per sitting, it did elevate it, the rate 4 times at a moderate amount rather than 2 times at a higher amount. All right. So what does that tell us? Pretty much what most people will understand is that consuming a moderate amount of protein per sitting on a more frequent basis, so maybe 3 or 4, maybe even 5 sittings per day, is going to maximize muscle protein synthesis. So is it a huge deal if you don't have that much protein per sitting? Probably not. The main and most important thing is that we hit the protein for the day. However, there is enough data out there that suggests that we should if we want to maximize our results, we should consider protein frequency. There's another study that shows women, right? They consume 60 grams of protein. One had that protein, I believe, in one meal, and the others broke it down into 4 small meals, right? So one group had I believe, either 30 grams of protein per meal for 2 meals, or one sitting of 60 grams. And then the other group had about 4 sittings with 15 grams of protein apiece. And it showed that the highest rate of muscle protein synthesis happened in the group that had the larger amount of protein with less meals. Now, that's not to say that we should be consuming less meals. It's just to say that higher amounts of protein per sitting are going to be more beneficial than sittings with smaller amounts of protein. So here's a couple things that we should take away from what I'm saying here. And if you're a little confused, that's okay. Just rewatch this or check out the studies that I linked down below. All right. So number 1, eating protein more frequently is probably going to be better than eating it less frequently. You should try to aim to hit about 30 to 40 grams of protein at each meal, or at least 3 to 5 times a day. And that's pretty much it. So again, this is not the end all be all. It just bothers me a little bit when people say that it doesn't matter at all, when in fact it does matter. To what degree, it's hard to say, but it's just something to consider, especially for those of you guys who are out there who really want to learn and make informed decisions for yourself, right? We don't need people telling us old school bro science bullshit, but at the same time, we don't need people just saying, oh, it doesn't matter, just eat your protein for the day, because the data suggests otherwise. And another point I want to make is that some of these studies are studies mentioned that I learned through certain experts that these people that I'm referring to kind of worship, right? So they'll worship these experts, and they'll say how great their information is, but then when they share information, it's not in line with the experts, or I shouldn't put that in quotes, with these real experts that that it just doesn't, it's just not in line with what they're saying. All right, if that makes sense. So you might say Alan Aragon, he's the man, he knows it all, and then you might say but protein frequency doesn't matter. But then when you read the Lean Muscle Diet, Alan Aragon talks about a study that suggests that protein frequency does matter. All right, now this is not to say that me and Alan have the same views and opinions, or whatever the case may be, but that's just my takeaway from what I've read and what I've seen. So just something to consider, guys. I'll put the links down below. Go check those out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.